can give me the thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being at the West Des Moines, City of West Des Moines Candidate Forum. We really appreciate you being here. My name is Catherine Harrington. I'm the very proud president and CEO of the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce, and it's my honor and privilege to be here tonight. And I want to thank our candidates for serving our community in this very special way. We have one candidate, incumbent Greg Hudson, is running for one seat representing the Ward 2 on the West Des Moines City Council, and two candidates are vying for one at-large seat on the West Des Moines City Council, including Jenny Doak-Kearns and incumbent Matthew McKinney. So thank you all. Elections this year will be held on Tuesday, November 7. Visit your Iowa Secretary of State website, Paul Pate, to find out where your polling place is for November 7. And we encourage you and your family and your friends and everybody in the community to vote. So the format, a little bit about what we're going to do today. The format for today's discussion is each candidate will have 5 minutes at the beginning of our talk to get to know you better. And candidates will also have about 3 minutes at the end to wrap up, just in case there's something that you want to reiterate or talk about or really stress. And most of our questions today are from like 1 minute to 2 minutes to answer. We are keeping time. Thank you, Al Womble, for helping me today. I really appreciate you being our timekeeper and our photographer extraordinaire, so thank you. And about the questions that we received, we asked the community to submit questions, and we had a very great response, so I'd love to see that. The questions relate to the following themes, and I want our audience to know the following big, broad themes we'll be talking about tonight. Candidate experience, supporting our growing diverse population, our quality of life, economic development, housing, taxes, sustainability, climate change, innovation, growth and zoning, transportation, a little bit about Valley West Mall, safety and security, history and preservation, and chickens. So, yeah, we have a lot of interest there. So, all right. That was fun. It got some laughter, so that's okay. That's good. This should be light. This should be fun, right? It's a fun process here today. This is not a debate, so we do ask that each candidate not interrupt others and be respectful. I know you will be. I will be calling on each person to answer the question, and we are timing. Thank you again, Al, so we can be really fair for everybody concerned. We will bounce from candidate to candidate, and I'll let you each know when it's your time to answer the question. Thank you for your consideration tonight again and for serving our beautiful community in this really important way. We have 1 hour and a half, so we are going to get right to it. All right, candidate experience questions. So we're going to start from left to right. So Greg, you are first. Tell us, we have 5 minutes to answer for each candidate. Tell us why you're running for city council and why this is important to you. And you get 5 minutes, so here we go.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. Well, this is going to feel really loud all the time, so feeling a little hot up here because this is, but in any case, thank you, everybody. First off, before I start answering the question about why I'm running for city council, I do have to say thank you. Thank you to a number of people. And the first person I want to thank is my wife, Kelsey, because my wife, Kelsey, makes service possible because we have 3 kids at home. And so if I'm off doing a city council related thing, incredibly grateful for her and just wanted to thank her very first and foremost here. Second, I want to thank both Matt and Jenny for running. I think a call to public service is really, really important. And so I'm very grateful for them running for city council. I wanted to thank both the current mayor and the previous mayor, Steve Gare and Russ Tremble. There's Russ back there.
Oh, Russ is in the house.
For serving. They've certainly served as a guiding force and a mentor to me in many ways over these last 4 years. And you'll hear me say this a lot tonight, but to run a city, it is an absolute team effort, And so I want to thank the city staff that work diligently every single day to make sure that the city is run well and that the city is run in a way that's listening to the community needs. I wanted to say thank you to them as well. And finally, thank you to Catherine for moderating this forum. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you all for being here, because when you ask the question, why am I running for city council? The answer is it's about people. And I look out and I see so many folks here tonight because they care about this community. And when we talk about people, the first people that I think of, other than the aforementioned folks, are my 11-year-old, my 8-year-old, and my 6-year-old. So when we create a community, I want to make sure there's a community for everyone. I want to make sure there's a community that my 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and 6-year-old want to come back to. My wife would be very pleased if whenever our kids go off and do what they do, if they would come back to West Des Moines, and I would be very pleased if that would happen as well. And so the work that we do right now really, really shapes the future. I tell my students the same thing. If you don't know, I'm a history teacher at Valley High School. So this is my 18th year teaching, which is just ridiculous when you think about it, because like it's such a long time. But over the years, I have seen thousands of students. And more recently, I've been telling them the same thing. Please come back to West Des Moines. Please come back, because I deal with some of the brightest students, the brightest young minds you could ever imagine. And I tell them all the time, you're going to go off, you're going to do an internship in Dallas, and then you're going to live life in the big city. You're going to have a studio apartment in New York City where you pay $4,000 for one day, and then you're going to realize, oh, I want a place where I can put roots, where I don't run out of money by the end of this sentence. And I think that could be West Des Moines. It's a wonderful place to live. So I tell my students, come back to West Des Moines, because why am I running? It's all about the people. Of course, it's all about the people. During my first term, I made 6 commitments to help relieve property taxes if we can, to enhance quality life, to support policies that encourage economic growth, to ensure and pursue affordable housing options, to increase public safety, and to create a strong partnership between our city and our schools. And I'm looking through this list. You have the handouts, and I feel pretty good about these 6 things. Most notably, since I'm a teacher, the one thing that I think I've brought to City Council is to expand that relationship. When people come to a community, yeah, they look at the community, they're like, oh, West Des Moines, maybe Johnston, maybe Waukee. But usually, the first thing that people look at is the schools. And so if we're going to be a growing city, we need to make sure that we have a school system and a city system that communicate with one another. Because why would we not want to be on the same team? So over my first 4 years as City Council, I've worked diligently to build relationships with first Dr. Ramey, but now Dr. Adams, who's over at the LRC, and also with Dr. Book, because a third of our population lives in Dallas County, and they're in the Waukee School District. So I've worked hard to build relationships there as well. And so, as my 31 seconds comes to an end, I would like to say, why am I running for student council? Talking too much about students. Yeah, apparently. Why am I running for city council? It's so that students, young people, and everyone have a place that they can call home, where they feel welcome. And I think I've done a pretty good job for the first 4 years, and I want to continue that in time.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Thank you so much, Greg. All right, Matthew, tell us why you're running for city council and your love for the city and everything you're excited about. So.
Terrific. Well, thank you, Catherine. It was a great start there, Greg, because I also want to start in a similar fashion by thanking Catherine, you for hosting this. All the work that the Chamber does in the community. You guys are a great partner in the community, do so many wonderful things, and so we value the work that you do.
Thank you.
And Jenny, thank you for being here. Greg, thank you for being here, and thank you everyone else. So who am I? One of the first things that I think is important you know is that I'm a father. And I'm a husband. And so I want to acknowledge my wife is here. She's in the back there. She's got my 3 little ones, and I was excited they want to be here. And Jack, he says, hey, are there going to be treats there? And I said, I don't know. So he brought a couple. And my little one, I apologize. Oh, there you go. And my littlest one, I'm hopeful that she can stay occupied. She doesn't distract you all. But they're here, and thank you, Mallory, for everything you've done over the last 4 years to be here when I couldn't be. A little unusual. I also want to acknowledge my parents. My mom and dad are here, Wayne and Deb, and today is their 43rd wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Happy anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think they probably anticipated spending it here, but I'm so glad you made it. Okay, so I've spent nearly my entire life in the city of West Des Moines. If you don't know, I grew up on Boonville Road. At the time, it was out in the middle of nowhere. We used to talk about going into town. We'd go to Hy-Vee on 35th Street. I'd get a pack of baseball cards from the Target and thought it was the best thing in the world. Now the city is kind of moved out in this direction. I graduated from the University of Iowa in political science and entrepreneurship. I went to Creighton University Law School where I studied the law, and I came back, and my first opportunity of public service was in the Polk County Attorney's Office under the direction of John Sarcone. And if you don't know John, he was a guy that, or is a guy, but during his service as a Polk County attorney, gave a lot of latitude and prosecutorial discretion to folks, and I appreciated that, and it allowed me to really serve in a capacity where I knew I wanted to continue in public service in some capacity. So I thought I needed to get involved in the community. And the first thing I did was actually join the chamber, and I took the West Des Moines Leadership Academy. And if you haven't done the West Des Moines Leadership Academy, it's a fantastic opportunity to get involved and learn a little bit about your community. That actually connected me with some folks that are in the room, and I went and joined the West Des Moines Historical Society. And the West Des Moines Historical Society, I grew up on Boonville Road in a very historic home. It's 170 years old. And I have an appreciation for that. I have an Andreas Atlas from 1847 in my house, and so when I had the opportunity to join the West Des Moines Historical Society, I thought, what a great opportunity to learn about our history, to preserve our history with the Jordan House and the Bennett School. And ironically, that kind of connected me with the city a little bit more, and I got involved with the Due Diligence Committee. And if you don't know, the Due Diligence Committee is tasked with helping Valley Junction, right? We help allocate funding for the Regulatory Compliance Fund, so businesses can come into compliance with our ordinances. We do the Upper Story Housing Program to create more housing and affordable housing in Valley Junction, and it was a great opportunity. Ironically, through that, I learned a little bit more and was involved with the Sister Cities Commission here in West Des Moines. And our first sister city is Mata Yashar in Israel. Of course, they've had a very tough time since October 7th, a terrible time. And I've been in touch with our Sister Cities Commission, and they've been in touch with the mayor there, Moshe, and others. And they recognize what this city did a couple weeks ago through a resolution supporting Israel. And I'm glad to hear that, and I was proud to vote on that. Through all of that, I continued to be involved, and it shaped my understanding of the history of West Des Moines, the ways to get involved. Through the chamber, I was chair of the chamber in 2019 and knew that I wanted to be a further part of this community. So I ran for office. And I ran on a number of particular items, and I'm proud of what we've done. We've accomplished a lot in the last 4 years, and we're going to talk about a lot of those things as you rattled off, Catherine, quality of life and these things. But I ran on the idea of holding the line and reducing our property taxes when we can, and we did absolutely that. In fact, we lowered the property tax rate twice in the last 3.5 years. I talked about quality of life amenities, and we have delivered quality of life amenities. We set the standard in West Des Moines, which is no surprise. High-quality city services. We've advanced affordable housing policies and projects in this community. The economic development that's happened here in West Des Moines has been off the charts. 3 out of the last 4 years have been records, and we're about to set one this year as well. And we've enhanced public safety. So I'm very proud of those accomplishments. I'm really excited to keep the momentum going and to talk about it here tonight. So thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Jenny, we're excited to learn more about you. Tell us about you and why you're running for city council. There we go.
All right, I think we're good to go. All right, well, thank you very much for that. And I wanted to thank all of you as well. I guess that's how we start, but that is what's most important. I think that, first of all, I thank the two of you for joining us tonight, and I thank you for your service to the city. I think it's really important. I want to thank you also, Catherine, and the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce for hosting us tonight, and City Council chambers. And I want to thank a number of my friends and family and supporters and city residents who are coming out here tonight just to talk about the process, because that's so incredibly important. There's nothing that affects your daily life like local government does. And unfortunately, it's often overlooked. So I'm really, really excited to see people engaging in this space right now. And I love the questions. I thought the questions were absolutely wonderful. So to anyone else out there who contributed those, thank you very, very much. So you guys don't know me as well as you may know my counterparts here. So I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about myself and the work that I've done. I have always felt called to service. That's something that's incredibly important to me. In fact, it's something that brought my active duty military husband and I together, that was something that we really shared, and we wanted to make sure that that was a value in our household. I started volunteering in high school as a religious education teacher, and when I was in college in the early 90s, I worked with end-stage AIDS patients, and that was one of the most fulfilling things that I've done in my life. Those experiences after I was out of college, as a teacher, as a college professor, and then later as an administrator, I really tried to keep service front of mind through that whole space. And not only that, I've been in education for 23 years, so I beat you just a little bit there. And it's hard to believe. Once I hit 20, it just didn't seem real. But I think that this value of service is something I'm very proud that I think I've also passed along to many of my students and my kids as well. So the last 10 years of my career, I have focused specifically on working with students from marginalized communities. So these would be students that are differently abled, students who are learning the English language for the first time, students who are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated, and students who are lacking basic high school credentials, which is absolutely a barrier to moving forward in any meaningful way. So one thing through working in these spaces that really resonated with me, it just got louder and louder as I worked with these populations, is the positive and negative effects that the larger community can have on an individual as they develop and as they have the support structure around them. I think this is the biggest thing that pushed me into wanting to step up and serve in many different spaces. Though this is my first attempt at public office and elected office, I have served in several different capacities. I will just kind of give you some examples. I was the president for the Iowa Organization for Student Success. That is a program that works specifically with those marginalized communities that I have spoken about. I was elected by my peers as the chair of the Iowa Consortium for Higher Education in Prison that advanced educational opportunities for incarcerated individuals with the reinstatement of the Pell Grant for those folks. I also was a board member at Iowa Prison Industries, and I'm currently, in my role at DMACC, I am co-chair of the Diversity Commission, and I'm a member of the DEI task force that's working there as well. I'm also an executive board member at the Young Women's Resource Center. So as you can tell, we are very busy. I have 4 kids. 2 of them are here tonight, my Grace and my Matt, and then actually I have 4 and a half. My daughter-in-law, Mariah, is here. I also have my son, Nathan, who is at a band concert tonight. So we all know how difficult it is sometimes to balance all of those different things. In fact, I think I'll be picking him up when I leave here. And then I also have a daughter who is serving in Germany right now in Grafenswehr in the U.S. Army. And as you can see, it's just service is part of our family, and it's something that's really important. So as we go forward and why I want to serve in West Des Moines, to give you a little bit of an idea of what's important to me here. I want to foster an inclusive, welcoming West Des Moines. I think that, and I want to challenge some of the assumptions that are made about our community. We are much more diverse and much more multifaceted than people give us credit for. I also want to encourage thoughtful, sustainable growth that really keeps in mind the importance of our historic spaces and communities. We have so much opportunity for growth in West Des Moines, and I definitely want to do it thoughtfully, though. And I also want to create and foster policies that
We're out of time, Jenny.
Sorry,
I'm so sorry.
That support public safety. So there you go.
Thank you. I want to be very considerate.
that's very
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to take a minute. We have some dignitaries in our room today, so I do want to recognize that we have Representative Mary Madison in the House. She's with Iowa House District 31. We have City Councilwoman Renee Hardman here as well, and we have our Mayor Russ Trimble. So I wanted to recognize these wonderful folks in the room today. All right, our next question is about diversity, equity, inclusion. You were just talking about that. So we are going to talk a little bit more about diversity, equity, inclusion. We had a lot of questions in this area from our community. A little over 2 years ago, the city hired the incredible Audrey Kennis. She is in the room as well. So I wanted to take this time to recognize Audrey. and as our inaugural Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director. And she has started several initiatives. The city is growing increasingly diverse, as you had mentioned. What are some of the ways the city can further its diversity, equity, and inclusion work and help to serve this growing population? Each candidate will get only 2 minutes to answer. We are going to start with Matthew in the middle this time. So, okay.
Thank you, Catherine. You know, I think as you pointed out, the city's doing a tremendous amount of work in this space. We've got great employees in the city of West Des Moines, from Audrey and her leadership in that space, but also across the departments. And she has done a terrific job in helping, I think, department heads and frankly, the city council and others open their minds and open their hearts to better understanding different aspects of our community. And we've done a tremendous amount of work over the last 4 years in this space. We have outreach to more organizations, more individuals, more causes, I think, than at any point in time. If you take a look at some of the things that we've done, you can actually objectively look at it. So in 2016, the city of West Des Moines scored a 42 on what's called the Municipal Equality Index, okay? During the first year I was there in 2020, we improved that from a 42 to a 99. In 2021, we went even higher to a perfect 100 score. And I'm proud of the work that we've done there. We don't have our number yet for 2023, but I understand it's coming soon, and I understand we're in a very, very good spot. What have we done? We have in this council chamber and some of the things that we have voted on, we have for the first time recognized Latino Heritage Month here. We had the proclamation. I actually spoke at the Latino physician event at El Fagan. We have celebrated the Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month for the first time. We had a proclamation for Juneteenth. A lot of other items in the community. Chief Scott also, as it relates to public safety, has gone outside the state of Iowa to make sure that he is recruiting folks from law enforcement academies that best represent and reflect our community here in the city of West Des Moines. So he's done a lot there. Inclusive. Anyway,
Here's time.
I just
Yep.
want to say
Thank you.
that
Thank you, Matt.
we're not done, and there's a lot to do in that space.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. All right. Appreciate that. Okay. We are going to popcorn to Jenny now. So, okay.
That sounds great.
Here we go.
Make sure we're
2
okay.
minutes.
There
2
we go.
minutes. It goes fast.
Yes. All right. So this is something I'm very, very passionate about. I'm so happy that West Des Moines has identified this diversity, equity, and inclusion as a priority as we go forward, because it is not only the right thing to do, it is good for the community. It is good for us to show that we can support a diverse community and welcome diverse peoples and economic development and all of those things. So having been on several DEI task force and things to that effect, actually I'm familiar with Audrey Kennis's work. I've crossed paths with her in the past, and I think you guys made an amazing catch there. But one thing I'll say, there's some definite steps you can take in looking at how to be more and more inclusive in our community. First of all, we have to be honest about, and it looks like some of the work that you guys have done, what is our current state? Where are we? Who are we connecting with, and who are we not connecting with? There are ways to do partnership surveys, things, or inventories, really. Ways that you can say, okay, we are really, really connecting with these folks, but there's a huge gap over here. And this is a way that once we can get that data, I'm a data person, get that data, look through that data, and realize that data has a soul, these are people. Then we can find places to reach out. And we need to do the research as well. We need to look at other cities that are comparable to West Des Moines that have successfully really shown themselves as an opening, welcoming, inclusive space, and look at what we can learn from those cities as well. I just think there's so much opportunity here, and I'm really, really glad that West Des Moines has made this commitment.
Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you. All right. Greg.
Thank you, Catherine.
There you go.
Appreciate it. And I appreciate the responses from Jenny and Matt. 17 years ago when I started teaching in West Des Moines, Valley High School looked fundamentally different than it does now. And when you look at the statistics for the United States of America and match them up to Valley High School, where I teach, it is almost spot on. As in, if you want to find America and what America looks like specifically, you go to Valley High School. And I think that speaks to how this community has grown in so many different ways. And since Valley looks like America, West Des Moines is also looking more like America because we certainly have the most diverse country probably in the world. And when I think about the work that, say, Audrey does, I was in on the interview committee, and I can't even express how much of the heart of an educator that Audrey Kennis has. And it came through in that interview, and I was so excited when she joined us, because if you really, truly want to get into the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you truly want to engage with people on the subject of belonging, you have to come from the heart of an educator. You have to come from a place where you're not trying to divide people, you're bringing people together. And so when I look at my students walk in the hallways of Valley High School, what are they wanting? What are they longing for? We're all longing for kindness. We're all longing for working together. We're all longing to be part of a community. So what does that look like from a city council standpoint? It means supporting work done throughout the community. For example, the city's Martin Luther King event, which for the last couple of years has just been absolutely amazing, and I know it's going to get better and better. It means supporting events that are in the community that aren't necessarily city-run, like Taste of the Junction. When we talk about events throughout our community, and I know they're going to get more and more bigger. They're going to get bigger and bigger and more numerous as time goes along. So the city
Greg.
will continue to be supportive of events throughout the community in these spaces.
Thank you. Thank you. And I like to say this fact everywhere I go because people are kind of wowed by it, but the Des Moines metro area is the second fastest growing immigrant population in America. Isn't that right? Gasp, right? So keep that in mind. All right. This question has to do with quality of life. Quality of life. Quality of life is the North Star for a smart community. According to the recent satisfaction survey, 94% of our residences were satisfied with the overall quality of life in West Des Moines. Competition, though, among cities is fierce. Our residents have access to some of the best parks in our state, exciting events at the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater, Mid-American Energy Recplex, the public pools, library, biking trails, the list goes on. What are some of the ways we can keep this positive momentum and help build the best city in America, and to help with our talent retention and attraction mechanisms? You only have 2 minutes to answer. So quality of life, it's a long question, right? So quality of life. And let's start with Greg this time.
All right, thank you again, Catherine. So I think there's 3 things to look at: what we've done, what we're continuing to do, and what we're planning to do in the future. I think what we've done is just exceptional. And I know I've only been on city council for 4 years, so I always like to say we all stand on the shoulders of giants. That's what we always do. And the work that has been, just done in the past to make West Des Moines not just a great city, but a destination city in terms of quality of life is unbelievable. I'm watching people walk around the park, enjoy this. There's the Richard Hurd Amphitheater, the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater. And I see the city campus, I see a new bridge that we're building. It's just unbelievable. So the next question is, what are we continuing to do? From my perspective, continuing to support parks, continuing to support rec, continuing to support our library, continuing to support the amenities that everyone enjoys in this community, that of course is critical. But what are we going to do in the future? How are we going to make West Des Moines even more unbelievable? The thing that I have in mind, I sit right up here on the Parks Board, and one thing that is really producing a lot of excitement in this community is a 26.2-mile marathon loop, a trail around this entire city. We are already on the way, well on the way for this to happen. And yes, this is not something that's going to happen in 1 year or 2 years, but the groundwork that we lay, and not just a marathon loop, not just in parks that we build right now, but in everything we do. That groundwork leads to future success, and that leads to future public surveys where 94%, that number is nuts. The fact that 94% look around the community and say, this is really good. This is, these numbers are off the charts. So when it comes to whether it be making a marathon loop, whether it be engaging in water trails, whether it be creating even more bike trails for people to enjoy, when it comes to quality in life, the amenities, it's what make us number one, and let's continue to do that.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, thank you. All right, we're going to popcorn to Jenny. Okay, here we go. Quality of life.
Excellent. Okay. Well, a lot of my family lives in the Des Moines area. And a lot of the times when they come to visit, when we have out-of-town family come to visit, they stay in West Des Moines. And why do they do that? They do that because of all the things that you just mentioned. So I have proof that what you're doing in the city that you've created has really, it is a destination. And just looking at our hotel motel income that we get from the revenue we get from those taxes is a great example to show us what we do and how well we've done it. But the nice thing is, this is not just a destination or an attraction for people who are traveling. It's desirable for families, and it's desirable for businesses, because people want, if you want to bring in the absolute best employees, students, all those things, you want someplace that is going to attract them and keep them here as well. So I would point to, I'm a big cyclist. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy on a bike. So the trail system, the library is gorgeous. The rec center that you've done is just absolutely really amazing. So I applaud all of those efforts. I would double down and say, let's really, really grow these green spaces and really, really look at thoughtful and sustainable growth as we go forward, keeping in mind quality of life in particular. Because if we don't have those spaces where people can gather, walk around the pond, those kinds of things, that's what makes us really, really special. And I also want to continue to plan with that in mind, but also with retail and attraction spaces. That way, when my family comes to visit, they will continue to stay on my side of town. And that's, of course, my desire. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, you have to visit the new playground at Raccoon River Park. It's beautiful. All right, thank you. All right, fourth question, zoning. This is a little bit more of a niche question, but talking about maintaining property development balance and affordable housing. So we're going to talk, oh, sorry, Matthew. You are next. I wrote your name down, and sorry, I shouldn't have written your name down. I'm trying to keep track of how everybody's popcorning. Thank you, sir. All right, quality of life to you.
You know, I'll just say that I don't know that, you know, when you say 94% of residents are satisfied with the overall quality of life in West Des Moines, I don't think 94% of residents could agree that, you know, that it's cloudy outside. I mean, this is incredible to have such overwhelming, you know, support and favorability on what we're doing. You know, we've clearly set the standard in West Des Moines for quality of life. And if imitation is the finest form of flattery, we ought to be pretty flattered, because you look at what's happening across the metro and what other cities are trying to do to replicate what we have here. Everybody's trying, but they haven't yet achieved it. And we're not letting up. We're not letting up in the city of West Des Moines. You know, you mentioned, Greg, the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater and the Recplex. Jenny, you mentioned that, the Boathouse. You know, I'd also say we just, in the last month and a half, approved a purchase of the Nazarene Church Walnut Creek property over there off of Fuller and Grand Avenue for a brand new arboretum, partnered with some great folks in the community that want to help, you know, bring an arboretum to the community, another quality of life amenity. And, you know, we just got to keep the positive momentum going. If it's not broke, don't fix it, so to speak. So continue refreshing parks. You mentioned the Raccoon River Park. We were there for the ribbon cutting. It's fantastic. My kids absolutely love it. You know, connecting more trails with the Athene pedestrian bridge, connecting the Raccoon River Park to Walnut Woods State Park, and what that's going to do over the course of time to the Great Western, allowing a connection to the Great Western Trail. But what can we do? We can also continue to facilitate development, right? It doesn't all have to be, you know, a city project. So, for example, the things like Topgolf that are coming are great amenities that a lot of folks are going to use. Spare Time and Dave & Buster's and Putts and Pints, those are things that the city has worked on through our economic development department to move forward other opportunities in the community. And we have to have the tax base to be able to do a lot of this. So that's another important component to keeping the momentum going as it relates to quality of life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. All right, this next question, we will start with Jenny. And this has to do with zoning, affordable housing, kind of maintaining a balance between development, affordable housing. So West Des Moines, as we all know, is growing rapidly. If you went to the last city council meetings, you'd realize there's a lot going on. We are in need of affordable housing for all of the great talent that we have here, for all of our amenities. Going back to the 2036 plan, part of the strategic plan looked at keeping West Des Moines financially strong and solvent. Part of this is to maintain property development balance. When we look at single family versus multifamily, commercial versus residential, how do we increase sustainable development while maintaining a balance of services at the same time? And this is only 1 minute to answer. So Jenny, can you reflect a little on that? It's a lot of growth, going a lot of different directions. How do we balance it all? There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. First of all, I think that we need to have very, very thoughtful zoning and policies that allow developers opportunities.
Oh, yeah, you're up. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that.
We'll give you a couple extra seconds, so
There we go.
there we go.
Okay.
Beautiful.
We need to be very thoughtful in our zoning and our planning for the future. We want to allow developers opportunities, but we want to make sure that those are consistent with the vision that West Des Moines has for the future. We have some real challenges this way as far as some of the post-COVID situation in the empty businesses that we're in. There are a lot of large corporations in our neighborhoods that only half of the staff now reports in on a daily basis. What do we do with those spaces? So we want to encourage development, but it has to be thoughtful development. You can't just turn an office building into an apartment building. That's a very, very big undertaking. And also, as we talk about affordable housing, we need to make sure that the housing that we do have is not bought up by outside sources that want to come in and raise rents and make it even more difficult to live affordably.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then we're going to popcorn to Greg next. All right.
Thank you, Catherine. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about. And when we talk about belonging in a community can mean a lot of different things, but one critical component is growing roots, is establishing roots. Because if you belong in a community and you're establishing roots in a community, that means you are invested in the community's success. And so one thing I'm going to focus on a ton in the next 4 years is owner-occupied housing. That does not only mean single-family homes, because there's multifamily housing, but what we've found is there is an affordable housing situation that's a little tougher right now. And it's not only in the city of West Des Moines, but it's in the entire metropolitan area. Des Moines area has been hot over the last couple of years, but that's made things kind of difficult in a way when it comes to price. So a solution would be, if we're talking about owner-occupied housing, what I want to do in the next 4 years is really, really encourage development in the space that is multifamily housing, but that's owner-occupied housing.
Okay.
So we're going to work
Time
with
is
the
up,
city to
Greg.
try to help out with that as much as we can.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Very good. All right. Mr. McKinney.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
So on the issue of affordability, it is a growing concern, and it ought to be for the entire metro region. If you don't have sufficient housing, frankly, of all different types, your workforce is going to be impacted, and it's going to stunt the ability for your community to continue growing. So it's got to be something we look at. And the issue with inflation as well as interest rates is further compounding that. People that are in a house today that have a 3% or lower interest rate are not going to be moving out. So they're going to be staying where they're at, and new housing is going to be more expensive. People are not interested in buying a new house at an 8% interest rate. So we're going to have difficulties there, and we need to be creative from a city perspective to address it. You talk about what can we do to balance these different things, Catherine, in the question. It's about having a plan. And we have a comprehensive plan in the city of West Des Moines that we adopted just under a year ago. And it's designed to fashion more sustainability, both environmental sustainability, so greenways, buffering, stormwater management, as well as economic sustainability. You have to have a sufficient mix of property types, of taxpayers, commercial, industrial, and residential, because if you have too much of one, you get out of whack.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. All right. We're going to bounce to question 6, Al, actually. Thank you all. All right. We're going to talk about public transportation. And if I can get my There we go. All right. So candidates reflect on public transportation and access to public transportation around our city, and then also between West Des Moines and other cities in our region. Having affordable housing, having access to go to work, et cetera. What is your take? What is your stance? Any comments on transportation? We have 2 minutes for each candidate to answer this one. And we are going to start with Matthew this time. All right, Mr. McKinney.
Okay. Well, transportation and housing kind of go together. So it's nice that these two questions are lining up like this, Catherine,
Yeah.
because you absolutely need housing, as we just talked about, but you also need transportation for folks that don't live in that community. And so the first thing I'll say is transportation is important for the individual. First, it's about that individual's independence. It ensures that people can get to their job, they can get to school, they can get to the grocery store, they can get to where they need to go to have the life that they want to have. So it's important for the individual. It's important for the business community. Public transportation expands the geographic footprint from which a workforce can be drawn. People can't live in a community and they can't have transportation into that community. They can't work there, and that also impacts the business community. So it's important for the individual, it's important for the businesses, and it's also important for the city. Because if people can't get into your community and use the services that your city offers, visit the businesses, or go to a retail operation, that harms the city. And so there'll be fewer residents that live here. If they can't get out of the city, it's going to be a problem. They want to live here in West Des Moines, but they've got a job somewhere else, but there's not transportation that gets them there. That's a problem for us at the city level as well. So DART is important, right? DART's an important component to public transportation. I know DART is having challenges, and I think it's important that we as a city collectively come together with our metro counterparts to figure out a solution. I know that DART has focused on adding some additional routes over the last couple of years here. They've looked at a more Uber-style service, if you will, in the city of West Des Moines. I'm glad that they've done that, and I hope they continue to do that. But I know they're facing some challenges. And so I think a good conversation across the metro is important.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McKinney. All right, Mr. Hudson, let's go to you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Here's one thing that I've absolutely learned over the last 4 years, and also something I learned just from being a history teacher. If you're going to grow and develop as a region, everybody has to work together. I mean, certainly there's a lot of city pride. I mean, Ankeny people will say, go Ankeny. Waukee people will say, go Waukee. And I will always say, go West Des Moines. However, there are some places where we not have to work together, we should work together. And in the area of public transportation, my heavens, this is a time when I'm incredibly grateful that Mayor Trumbull sits on the board of DART, and having him as an asset to help us understand, because there's so many complexities when it comes to DART. However, the fact that West Des Moines has a seat at the table is really, really important. But as I said before, the most important thing is working together, because if Des Moines fails, then West Des Moines fails. If the region fails, then West Des Moines fails. If people, as Matt said, can't get to their jobs or can't get to the retail in our community, then that just means we also lose something. And I think that's really, really important. But going back to what I mentioned at the very beginning, the people aspect. People need to not just go to work. People don't just need to go to play. I know that my students who don't live in the community, if they open enroll in West Des Moines, they try to use DART as much as they can. But DART, you have to go here, then you have to go here. And so there are tremendous challenges. They're both budgetary challenges and also just logistics challenges. But in any case, I am here for working together with Des Moines. I am here for working together with any community in the metro that wants to be a part of a solution for DART. And it's not easy, but we have to rise to the challenge because our people depend on it.
Thank you. Perfect timing. All right. Okay. Jenny, what's your reflection?
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
So this is transportation is a huge issue. And again, having spent so much time working with vulnerable populations, transportation is constantly a barrier for helping yourselves move to the next step, whether it's education or whether it's getting to a job. So this is something I feel very, very strongly about. And I do feel like DART is a very good partner. I think this is going to have to be a cooperative solution, because we cannot just suddenly go and create our own transportation system. That is not feasible, and it would be redundant. So I think we did something similar with the college where I am, where if students became or if they became a student, they had access to DART. And that was a game changer for a lot of people. That allowed people to be able to take advantage of services, to take classes that had never been able to before. So I've seen the effect that effective public transportation has on the folks who need it the most. And let's be honest, from the other side of it, we also, it's going to benefit employers, because everyone is looking for, staff, and it's so hard to get good staffing and get folks that can consistently show and can consistently, get their kids to school, can get their kids to medical appointments. It's not just work and fun. So I really feel like this is kind of part of a cluster of issues for many populations that go along with affordable housing, but I would also argue along with affordable childcare, many other things like that. So I see this as part of a larger problem to tackle.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, now we're going to move to property taxes and taxes in general. So talk about property taxes, your approach to taxation, and we're going to start with Greg for this question.
Thank you, Catherine. I'd have to start by saying that I think everyone got a big shock in the mail in March. And how do I know? I've heard from a lot of people. And some of those people were a little more, dare I say, passionate with their emails and or phone calls after they got their assessments. And if they want a chance to kind of learn more about it, I certainly share that city's portion of your property tax rate is a notable portion, but not the entire portion. So after we kind of get that out of the way, because it's important for everyone to have a good understanding of the actual situation, we start there. And then once we say that, well, I've been on the city council for 4 years, we have not cut the property tax every single year, but we have cut it twice, a couple of cents here and a couple of cents there, because from what I hear from constituents in Ward 2 of West Des Moines, they wanted to see a little tax relief. And I let them know that there's only so much the city can do. There really, really is. And I think they're pretty understanding of that. But at the same time, we have a lot of financial challenges that are coming down the pike. And with those financial challenges, I'll just say, if there's an opportunity to reduce the tax rate for the city, I would be glad to entertain that. At the same time, a city has to remain financially viable. So while I would certainly love to have an extra tax cut because the people I've talked to would like that, at the same time, we need to make sure we maintain our quality of life that we have. And also, I think it's important to talk about how we grow our tax base as well. And I think that's where innovation is key. Whether it be utilizing tax increment financing, our city has never really gone down the road of full tax abatement for a new business to come here. And I don't agree with that either. I think there are much better tools at our disposal, like tax increment financing. But either way, the property tax situation will hopefully start to improve a little bit more
Time's up.
as tax reform continues.
Okay.
But it's a tough situation.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and we're going to popcorn to Jenny next. Okay, trying to be fair with how we do all this.
This
So
is
okay.
a rather elaborate what you have to manage for that. I get it. First, I will say that I, and definitely my husband, share your concern about our property taxes here in our community. And honestly, this has been a really hard time for homeowners, because not only has inflation and prices of so many different things have gone up, but the value of your home has gone up as well. So even when we reduce tax rates, many folks aren't seeing that on their assessment because they're seeing, suddenly my house is valued $80,000 more than it was 2 years ago, and I have to pay taxes on that. So it's definitely an issue. I want to avoid raising taxes on the community as much as possible. And I think that what that requires is taking a hard look at the structure that we've created and looking at where the redundancies are, where we can cut back a little bit, just like in our own budgets at home when we end up in a situation like this. You look and you say, well, I really don't need this. I really, do need this. So we need to look at our priorities. And I really feel like it's fairly important. I have a friend that has a business that has grown exponentially really, really fast. And they've had to sit back and say, okay, wait a minute. Do I really need all of this? Do I really need all of this? Some of it, absolutely yes. But in some cases, there are times, and I think this is the same way in large organizations and government organizations, where we've grown so quickly that maybe we've grown without the intention and the thought that we could have. And sometimes you don't know until you look back a little bit to find, because we don't know what's coming. So I think this is a good time to look back, take stock in what we have as a community, look for those redundancies, look for places where services can more efficiently be administered, not through the city, but somewhere else. And I hope by doing that, we can avoid raising any more taxes on our community.
Thank you, Jenny. All right, Mr. McKinney, we'll end with you on this
Great.
question.
Thank you, Catherine. First of all, I want to say my approach to taxation needs to be responsible. We have a responsible approach here in the city of West Des Moines. We need to continue that. You have to realize that taxes are levied to pay for things, right? So we need to make sure we're paying for the right things, and we have a balanced budget so that taxes are not unnecessarily levied. Second, we need to have reserves, and we need to fully fund those reserves so we can smooth out any issues, revenue issues, without impacting residents through reactionary taxing. So we need to watch our spending. We need to make sure we have fully funded reserves. And third, based upon that foundation, we must continue to hold the line on our property taxes and reduce them when we can. Part of quality of life is being able to afford to live in the community so that everyone can enjoy it. And taxation impacts affordability. So if you're a senior on a fixed income and you saw your house valuation jump 20% and your income's fixed, we need to do everything we can to hold the line and reduce property taxes. If the city doesn't do anything about it and just keeps the tax rate at the same level, you're going to pay more. And so I can't tell you how many folks that I've talked to over the course of the last 4 months that have said to me, do what you can to reduce our property taxes. And I tell them, in the last 3.5 years, we have reduced your property taxes twice. And I want to keep doing that responsibly when we can going forward. I looked at a house in the city of Des Moines, roughly a $300,000 house. Their tax rate's about $15 per $1,000 in valuation, $15. We're at $10.90. In Des Moines, a $300,000 home, I pulled a $300,000 home would be about $5,600. In West Des Moines, it's about $4,400. $1,200 more to go to the city of Des Moines. And so I know this is important to our residents. We have to continue working on this.
Thank you. Thank you all for the questions. Any answers? Okay, how's everybody feeling? Good, we're kind of in the home stretch. We have a half an hour. All right, all right. We're going to talk a little bit about taxes still. We're going to move to hotel motel questions. So as a magnet for business, retail, and entertainment, West Des Moines regularly collects the second highest amount of hotel motel tax out of the state's largest cities, following only Des Moines. How will this funding look different in the future with new legislation from the Capitol, and how do we see these funds being used to keep our balanced budget? So, all right, let's start with Jenny this time. It's time to move that way.
Starting to anticipate your.
I think you're getting the plan, yes.
Okay, this is just another example with the legislation that's come down from the state. Cities are being put in a really, really tough spot right now with the decrease in tax revenue that's coming back to us. I think this is just one more example of the state restricting how we can benefit from our own growth, and I think that's unfortunate. I think we need to make sure that we are advocating from our spaces up as well to make sure that we're getting what our city has earned. this is we need to make sure, since we're going to have to, again, another place, we're going to have to tighten our belts a little bit. There are important services like Bravo and other public transportation that we've talked about that as being an issue. We don't want to lose any aspects of that. So it's really, really important that we're thoughtful as we go forward because so many programs can be impacted. I see kind of a two-pronged approach. Let's really try to continue to increase revenue from the stream by doing as much as we can to increase travel into our city and continue to make it a destination. If they're going to give us less of what we earn, let's earn more, is kind of the way I look at it. And also, again, it goes back to very, very simple, what you guys do at your kitchen table. Where do we cut when we need to, and where can we make up for that, and just being really thoughtful. So.
Thank you. All right. Okay, and now we're going to popcorn to Matthew. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
So I know the question relates to the hotel motel tax and how legislation funds that. I don't believe we've had any legislation to impact the hotel motel tax. There have been discussions about the local option sales tax.
Yes.
That's been a perennial issue for the last several years. As it relates to the hotel motel tax and this question here, I can tell you that 2/7 of every cent goes towards Bravo. I serve on the Bravo board, and I can tell you we allocate those funds back to the communities to have a major impact on arts and cultural organizations throughout the metro. The other 2/7 go to the CVB, which Councilman Hudson serves on the CVB, which works in a way to bring events. Just had the Junior Olympics here in West Des Moines at the Recplex. That helps bring in heads and beds, they say, to generate additional revenues through the hotel motel tax. And all of those hotel motel taxes, the remainder of what is generated, comes to the city, where we can allocate that to a lot of different causes. We've allocated that to parks and trails. We've allocated it to a lot of great causes. And I think we should continue to do that. I think you look at what's happening at the Recplex. We thought that there were. I was talking to Ryan Penning the other day. He was telling me that the first year they anticipated about 500,000 folks to visit the Recplex in the first year. Over 1 million folks visited the Recplex. Okay, and those are folks that are coming to spend money in our community. They go up to Shields to get some recreational stuff. They stay at the hotel and they generate a hotel motel tax and a local option sales tax, and that helps our residents keep their property taxes in check. To be honest with you, it diversifies our revenue sources. So it's really important to have these revenue sources. I do believe the legislature is going to try to push cities to become more diverse in their revenue sources. They don't want cities to be reliant purely on property taxes. And so I think we are well positioned as the legislature looks at some of those things to be to be on the right side of everything here in West Des Moines.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, Greg.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
So when we find so many people coming into the city of West Des Moines, they stay here and they enjoy the amenities in West Des Moines, and they bring so much value as visitors to our community in a lot of different ways. When that money comes in, as Matt said, part of it goes to Bravo. But those Bravo events, what do? They also bring more people into the community, and whether it be for a cultural event, an artistic event, a musical event, that's what Bravo does. And we have an agreement with other entities in the Des Moines metropolitan area. It's called a 2080 agreement. And I'm very supportive of continuing that because Bravo brings value, and that's what part of our hotel motel tax goes to. Furthermore, part of it goes toward CVB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Catch Des Moines. I serve as the vice chair of Catch Des Moines right now. And I gotta say, the work that CVB does, Greg Edwards and his team, they work their tails off to bring events. They got the Junior Olympics to come to certainly Des Moines, but also West Des Moines. And on that Tuesday night during the Junior Olympics this past summer, the closest open hotel room in the area was in Perry, which means every hotel room in West Des Moines was filled, and also all the other areas in the community. And even on the nights where maybe Grimes had a hotel room available, all of West Des Moines rooms are filled. So when we talk about value, hotel motel tax that's gone to Bravo and CVB, my gosh, they bring such value to our community, and they reinvest in that hotel motel fund tax. And as for the other 3/7, what we use that money for, we have used that money for our Martin Luther King celebration before, which means that tax brings great value to our events that we hold, our important events. Money goes to Ballet Des Moines, Tallgrass Theater. They're both they're both stationed right here in West Des Moines. So many of those monies that have come from Hotel Motel, they go to so many things that we want to keep as a quality of life. So I'm not in favor of changing anything with the Hotel Motel tax at this time.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, let's move to economic development for business. In 2022, the City of West Des Moines was named the Iowa Small Business Community of the Year, and we were named a top 50 city to start a business. How can we continue to position our city as a hub for small business growth and development? Let's, 2 minutes, and then we might start doing some 1-minute questions, just so y'all know, because I want to get a lot in before 7, so we might do a little pivoting. And then we're going to start with Greg this time. All
I
right.
keep checking the time. And in 1992, George H.W. Bush got in trouble during a debate for looking at his watch. And so I've done that several times. Well, that's because she said, anyway.
Yeah. We got you covered.
All right. Gosh, we live in such a competitive world in the Des Moines metropolitan area. And when we talk about small businesses, when we talk about economic development for our community, we have a lot of available space. We are the heart of the west side of the metropolitan area, and I'm proud to be the heart of the west side of the metropolitan area. The intersection of 80 and 35, so much traffic goes through. Personal traffic, business traffic, industrial traffic, everyone's coming through West Des Moines, Ward 2 specifically. And it's great to have a supportive chamber. It's great to have a supportive Greater Des Moines partnership in a business-friendly state. And every day, every weekday, every workday, 130,000 people come into a city of 70,000 to work. And I find that tremendous in so many different ways. So it's clear why we have been a top 50 place to start a business. How do we continue this? It's obvious that we've had success, but the first thing comes to partnerships. Partnerships with entities such as the local Chamber of Commerce, partnerships such as regional entities like the Greater Des Moines Partnership, but also partnerships with neighborhood groups. When it comes to small businesses, my heart goes straight to Valley Junction. And I think of Valley Junction as the small business hub and the historic hub of our fair city. And if we want to continue economic development in the small business way, that's a good place to look at where we found some success. Because over the course of the past several years, the city has invested historic amounts of money into historic Valley Junction in West Des Moines. And I think it's produced a lot of tremendous success. Like seeing what it's like during a farmer's market on Thursday night, seeing what it's like on a Saturday, seeing what it's like during a weekday, it's tremendous. So whatever we've been doing in the past, we're going to continue to build those partnerships so we can have success in the future.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Jenny, you're next.
Okay, you're talking my language now when you start talking Valley Junction, because that's my neighborhood. So, but I agree. I think it's a wonderful example of a thriving small business community, and one that we could potentially foster in other spaces, and it's a great model for that. And I think that one of the best ways that we can continue to attract these vibrant small businesses goes back to the quality of life that everyone's talking about here. The satisfaction, like you said, 94% of the people are happy they live in West Des Moines, and they're happy about what they see. And if we want people to, imagine if you're starting your small business, right? We need to be able to have a city, though, that is accessible, again, going back to affordable housing, going back to transportation, that can support someone who's trying to start the throes of starting a small business, and then also able to sustain the workforce that small business requires. And I also think that this goes back also to our city's investment in diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I really feel we want to show the metro area that we are friendly to all kinds of businesses, to all kinds of families, to all those folks, because I think it's incredibly important. And we end up better and as a result of that, because we get to enjoy a more diverse and a more, beautiful town.
Love it. Okay. Excellent. Okay, Matthew, economic development.
Well, I wish we had a little bit more time on this item. First, as Clyde Evans said at his retirement party, he said, I quote, "Don't screw it up," when he retired. And he said that to the whole group. And thankfully, we have a thriving and vibrant community. And that's one heck of a way to keep the momentum going. We're starting from a really good spot. As you pointed out, the Iowa Small Business Community of the Year, named the top 50 city to start a business in the country. We're starting from a really good spot. But it didn't happen by happen chance, right? The city planned carefully in a lot of different ways. Planning and infrastructure. So when you talk about infrastructure in Valley Junction, the storm water initiatives that are happening there, and paving the alleyways and Vine and 8th Street and everything that's happening in the area. When you talk about out west, the city took a risk, but a calculated risk when they put in massive infrastructure in an area that was largely farm fields, and now General Growth Property, Brookfield Properties has Jordan Creek Mall there. So they took a calculated risk, it took a vision, it took planning, and it took strategic investment. Second, you have to have those quality of life amenities. I won't harp on that. You have to have housing for folks, because if you don't have it, you're not going to see economic development. And you also have to have safety. I'll tell you, you look at some of the crime that's happening in some of these cities, and it is impacting things on business. You're talking about this question is about business. Just this week, Target closed 9 different stores across the country in cities because of crime. In West Des Moines, we have done things to ensure a safe community, and I'm proud of that. All of these things, an ecosystem together, work to get us on the field, so to speak, but it doesn't mean you win. One of the things you also have to have is a get to yes mentality. Because the reality is, when a project comes before the city of West Des Moines, or it goes to another city, if the mentality is, I don't know, there's a problem here, I don't know, there's a problem there, you have delay. And time will kill deals, okay? And so it's important we have a get to yes mentality, a balanced approach, because if we have that, we will continue this incredible momentum. We're not going to screw it up. And Clyde Evans is going to be thrilled with how we are this year.
Thank you, Matthew. All right, the following questions are going to be 1 minute, so we can try to get some more things in. All right, we're going to bounce to question 13, safety and security, because Matthew just mentioned that. According to a recent citizen survey, 94% were satisfied with the overall feeling of safety in the city of West Des Moines. 93% were satisfied with the quality of the police, fire, and emergency medical services. Reflect on our police, fire, EMS teams. What are ways we can continue to keep our city safe and serve the needs of our public safety and emergency departments? 1 minute each, and let's move to Matthew first.
Okay, well, first of all, you ask us to reflect, and I want you to know that when I reflect, I know we have the best. That's not just a subjective analysis, that's an objective analysis. When we have all 3 divisions of our public safety force, so to speak, accredited. Very few cities. There are only 8 cities in the state that have a police force that's accredited. We have all 3. Police, fire, and EMS are accredited. So that's what I think of when I think of it. I think it's important to show them how much we care about public safety in this community and the service that they provide the community. So being there for these public safety officers speaks volume. I've spoke to the family. I've been to each swearing in for the police force over the last 4 years, save 2, because I was out of town. But I spoke to their families. I spoke to their loved ones. I spoke to those new recruits. And I've shared with them just how supportive we are in the community of West Des Moines for the service. And I'll tell you, that helps with our recruiting. We recruited 3 of the top officers from Eastern Iowa because of the support we have here in West Des Moines for our police force. It goes a long way.
I know, it's tough. This gets tough.
Is a very important.
It is. You'll have a chance in the end to 3 minutes.
Okay. All right.
All right, Greg, you're next.
Thank you, Catherine. When it comes to the exceptional public safety officers in the city of West Des Moines, when the question is, what are ways we can continue to keep our city safe, leadership matters. And leadership of both Chief Scott and Chief Liu, and Chief Liu is the chief of both fire and EMS, their leadership for the past several years has just been outstanding. There are always tremendous challenges, but just like leadership matters, the other thing that matters is training. And that's why I'm so impressed with the leadership of both Chief Scott and Chief Liu, because what they have done is they have implemented training measures in all 3 of these areas of public safety, in police, in fire, and EMS. It's built in to their schedules as public safety officers to have constant training, because there's always new stuff that happens. Some people say, Greg, I can't imagine you're a high school teacher. I don't know how you do it. I don't imagine how you could be a public safety officer, because every day is a new thing. So when it comes to it, leadership matters, training matters, and because we have an excellent city, experience matters, and we have so many experienced officers.
Thank you. Jenny, you're next.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is, again, something I wish, I have so many bullets on this. I would love to absolutely go in. But what I will do is I will talk about one particular issue. But first, I also want to start out, again, it is an absolute testament to our first responders and our EMTs, our police, that our citizens report a 94% rate, or they at 94% of them feel that they are safe and they are well protected in this community. I don't know of another place that could say the same thing. I will say this, though. I think as we support our community, keeping it safe and keeping our officers and our first responders safe, which is our absolute priority, one of the issues that we really need to make sure that we're addressing is mental health and our response to mental health calls. Because when you introduce emergency folks into those spaces, it escalates, and it escalates for everyone, not just the person affected, but the responding officers as well. So we need as much training as possible there.
Thank you so much, Jenny. All right, we're another 1 minute question. All the next questions are 1 minute. Okay, Al, here we go. We're going to go to 14 and talk about climate change. We have a rapidly changing climate. How can we as a city think ahead, maybe 50, 100 years, and address our population's need for fresh water, water scarcity, flood control, stormwater runoff retention, extreme heat events, you name it, right? So let's start with Jenny. We're going to start with Jenny this time. Thank you.
This is another topic very close to my heart. I have attended city council meetings. I have viewed city council meetings. I have heard climate change referred to as a natural cycle several times in some of these conversations. And I want to say unequivocally, I believe that climate change is man-made, man-caused, man-contributed, and that it is our responsibility, if we can do something about it, that we absolutely need to. I think it's a moral issue for my children, for my grandchildren, for people going forward. I think in 50 years, I feel strongly that it'll be painfully clear which regions and communities planned and thought about upcoming challenges of climate change. I would like the city, and I would love to be part of a task force that looks at what we can be doing, looking at our watersheds, looking at how we respond to extreme weather, and just so many other things that unfortunately I don't have time to talk about.
You have 3 minutes and to wrap up. All right, Matthew, you're next.
All right, climate change. Well, clearly the climate is changing, in a lot of different ways. And we are attacking and trying to tackle some of the impacts of a changing climate here in West Des Moines. So one of the things we've done is we are one of the founding members of ICON, the ICON Water Trails Initiative. And it's not just about water trails, as fun, as exciting that it is. We are, and as a co-chair of ICON Water Trails, I can tell you we're doing a lot as it relates to water quality, because your question talks about water quality here. And so we have removed thousands of pounds of trash this summer alone from waterways and streams here in the metro region. West Des Moines was a founder of this organization. I'm chairing that organization, and I'm proud of the work we're doing as it relates to some of the water quality. We partner with Polk County Conservation on actively monitoring, and I'm excited that West Des Moines stay involved with ICON. For flood control, the tremendous improvements we're doing along Blue Creek drainage, that's just north of the I-235 by West Bank. That's an enormous watershed. We are trying to address stormwater going forward.
And
I'd
time.
love to talk about more.
You've got 3 minutes. All right, at the end. Greg, you're next.
Thank you, Catherine. I think the first thing when it comes to the issue of climate change, I think is leading by example. I was proud to put solar panels on my house a couple of years ago and to have a geothermal system, which means our footprint, so to speak, is much, much smaller than average. So I think leading by example is a good way. But also, I told you earlier I was going to praise the city staff. The city staff has looked at mitigation to the extent that we can, because we're just a city, but that doesn't mean we can do nothing. And I'll just give you a good example. We hired a grant coordinator for the city of West Des Moines a couple of years ago because there's so many federal and state and local and county monies available. There's so many grant opportunities. And those grant opportunities, so many deal with the environment and improving water quality. There are so many out there, and because we have a dedicated person, we can apply for a grant program to help improve the Woodland Hills Greenway area, which had some stormwater issues going on, but because we got the grant, we were able to contribute part city money, part grant money to make those things better. So there's a lot that we can still do.
Lovely. All right. We're going to do wrap-up questions now. So we've talked about a lot of different areas. There's some questions we didn't get to, like Valley West Mall, innovation, historic preservation, chickens, if you want to reflect on chickens. So everybody gets 3 minutes in the end to reflect on anything maybe that we weren't, and we have a lot more questions than we had time for today. That's intentional. But so just kind of wrap up, what are some things you really want to hone in on? Why should we vote for you as candidate and as city council? And we are going to start with Jenny and go, because we started this way, we're going to go this way. So Jenny, you're first. All right.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you again. I want to thank Greg and Matthew and Catherine for hosting us tonight, and the Chamber of Commerce in the city of West Des Moines. Like I said, any engagement with the community I think is so incredibly important, and I really, really appreciate this time, or this chance also to introduce myself to the community a little bit more. Here's what I hope that you've taken away from what you've learned about me tonight. I will be a passionate advocate for our city. I believe in the value of West Des Moines. I believe that we are on the right track. I also believe there are a lot of places where we can make improvements. And I will always, I'm a workhorse. I will work. And so that's something I hope you realize. I'm also not afraid to look at the complexity of some of these issues. Chickens are a good example of that. When I saw that question, I giggled a little. And honestly, at first, I was like, you know, I have colleague, actually one of my husband's colleagues in the in the 103rd. We get our eggs from him, and love it, wonderful. And so my initial reaction is, yes, that sounds great. But then as you think through the process, you think through, so my thought is I'm a big animal person. We have dogs and a cat, you know, and there are regulations of having a dog and a cat. You can only have so many. They have to be treated a certain way. They should be licensed. They should. As we're sitting here talking about the challenges that are going forward for our city, I do not want to create chicken police. Does that make sense? So, so my thought is this is an example of there are a lot of issues that look one way at the top, but if you really have to dig down, you have to do the research, you have to look at the data, and you have to look at what the impact would have on the actual city and people around it. I also want to reiterate that I also am staunchly committed to keeping property taxes down. That's one of the reasons why our city is so attractive. And like I said, I think that looking at thoughtful budgeting, looking back at how we've grown and seeing where we can pull those little things back in, I think is incredibly important. I want to reiterate again that I think that that one of the most important things that we can do to improve our city is maintain that commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It will create a more rich, a more robust, and a more resilient West Des Moines as we go forward. Lastly, I really feel like I can represent you. I am a mother, I am a wife, I'm an Army wife. I am, I know I say that a lot, but it's pretty disruptive. Let's just say we haven't spent birthdays together for a long time. His birthday is June 25th, mine's June 24th, and he's always away during that time. But my family and I face the same challenges that all of you do. And I hope that you hear that I am willing to do the work, to listen, to be thoughtful, and I hope that I can earn your vote on November 7th.
Thank you, Jenny. All right, Matthew, your next wrap-up question.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot I would love to say. There's a lot we didn't get to, and there's a whole lot of great things that are happening in this community and that I'm very proud of. I want to highlight a couple things. First of all, I'm proud of the approach that I brought to the council over the last 4 years. We have been balanced in our new growth and in our reinvestment in areas of the city like Valley Junction. We protected our history. We came in, and for the first time in the city's history, we have design guidelines for Valley Junction. I could not believe it when I was presented with a hyper-energy bar over there by the West Tower, and I was told, well, you can't approve that because it looks this way. And then we have a project in Valley Junction. I said, I don't know about this. And they said, well, you cannot disapprove that because we don't have a guideline. It was shocking to me. And I'm very excited that we have finally adopted design guidelines in West Des Moines to preserve the look and the feel, and we can enforce them. And I think one of the first things we need to do is adopt those in ordinance. So I'm proud of that. We've also recognized important figures, historic figures in the city for the first time, and I'm proud of that. We set the standard in the region for so many different things. We've been thoughtful, we've been careful, we've been measured over the last 4 years. Measured to the point where I think staff sometimes thinks, why are we spending so much time on this? And I'd say, because it's worth it. You know how many times I've walked Ashworth Road to look at how we're going to be maybe moving from 4 lanes to 3 lanes? Because so many people care. So many people care. And they know we put in the work. I want to emphasize that 4 years ago, I said a few things that I wanted to accomplish, and I'm proud that we've accomplished those things. I said I wanted to reduce property taxes, and we did just that. We did it twice. I talked to residents, and I talked to a particular resident, Pearl. She lives in Ward 2, Greg, and she lives just in the neighborhood I used to live off of 82nd Street. Birthday's December 7th, Pearl Harbor.
Oh, wow.
Yep, her birthday's coming up. And you know what she said? The only reason she can live in her house is because her family helps pay her property taxes, okay? I've heard that sort of story time and time again. And I'm proud that we've taken measures in the city of West Des Moines to address that. Quality of life amenities, when 94% of citizens say we're doing the right thing, we're on the right track. Imitation is the finest form of flattery, and we're awful flattered by what we're seeing. Robust economic development. On average, this city will have about $400 million in valuation and permits every year. Over the last 3 years, we have topped $1 billion. It's unheard of. It's record-breaking. And that creates a tax base to allow us to hold the line and reduce taxes. That creates a tax base to allow us to do quality of life amenities like the Boathouse and the Recplex and the Athene Pedestrian Bridge and the Marathon Loop and the Arboretum and so many things. So I'm very proud of the robust economic development and safety. We have enhanced safety for the first time in decades. All of our fire stations are fully staffed by full-time crews 24/7. I'm excited about what we've done. I want to keep it going. I ask for your vote.
Thank you, Matthew. All right, Greg.
All right, thank you,
Okay,
Catherine.
thank
Appreciate
you.
you moderating.
Thank you.
Jenny, thank you, Matt. We appreciate, I appreciate sitting up at the table with you all. And as we wrap up this evening, I wanted to thank you all for being here. It's been a very challenging 4 years in a lot of ways because I started in January of 2020, and then in March of 2020, some things got a little bit wild in the world because of a pandemic. However, I'm incredibly proud of this city for maintaining, I guess, still a forward-looking attitude throughout all of the challenges that this world brought us starting in 2020. I mean, it has been 4 years that has been wild at times, but I'm incredibly proud of the work that's been done for the last 4 years. I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of hard work, getting to learn as much as possible so that I can make informed decisions, because after all, we are representing the public in this little republic known as the city of West Des Moines. And without an amazing team, I wanted to certainly thank the mayor once again. I want to thank Tom Haddon. He is our city manager. Without him, all of these things would be incredibly, incredibly difficult. The entire staff of the city of West Des Moines has to be thanked too. And I'm going to thank them earlier, and I will thank them again. Because when we talk about quality of life in West Des Moines, it's simply off the charts for the things that we have done. It is simply amazing, whether it be a Recplex, which saw 1 million people, whether it be the Boathouse, which gets people to enjoy nature out in our beautiful Raccoon River Park on Blue Heron Lake, whether it be economic development. Matt had mentioned over $1 billion. I mean, these are just numbers that a city of 70,000 should not be happening very much. It just shouldn't. And yet, because of the work of so many people, and it's not one person, it's not 5 people, it's so many people, it's able to happen. Everybody, we have the only city in Iowa that's AAA bond rated by both S&P and Moody's. That just means that when the financial institutions look at West Des Moines, they say, you are in great shape. Not good shape. You are in great, great shape. We have been able to reduce taxes. We have been able to maintain our level of quality of life. We've been able to improve it. And 4 years ago, I walked around neighborhoods saying, I'm a teacher. We haven't had a teacher on the city council in over 40 years, since before I was born. And since teachers are all about education, I have spent these 4 years getting educated and learning more. At times, it's a fire hose of information, but I've been proud to learn. I've been excited to learn, and the best part has been spending time with people, going around Ward 2, and also the entire city, to be honest, even though I'm at large, to learn more about this city, because I said at the beginning, It's all about people. And we have some of the best people in West Des Moines, and it is absolute my tremendous honor to serve the fine folks of West Des Moines as the Ward 2 City Councilman. Thank you all for coming this evening.
Thank you. I think this should be one big ad for the city of West Des Moines, tonight's event, because, I mean, really, all the excitement and love that you have for this city is absolutely tremendous. You can feel it in your heart that you are so passionate about this city. So thank you all for serving in this capacity. It's a big, big job. So thank you for your passion and your interest in serving the public in this way, in this beautiful city, West Des Moines, the best city in America to live, work, and play. And we are helping to make that happen. So it is absolutely phenomenal. So a couple of things. The Register did a great article. If you want to learn more about the candidates, go to the Register. They did a great article about the candidates. Also have coffee with them as well. If you have more questions that maybe we did not get to tonight, there are a lot of great things happening in our city and a lot of things to talk about and discuss. So I just, again, appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for all your passion and love for our city. And I wish you all a wonderful West Des Moines night. So, thank you. Fabulous.